Trends and trend lines. The trend is your friend until it bends. Now the market would rather move in a wave versus a straight line. And we utilize trend lines to assist us in knowing when the market's going up or when the market is going down, as well as to help identify reversals. For example, if the market begins to make higher highs and higher lows, we'll bring in a trend line to assist us in determining if the market's going up. It is also referred to being in the buy zone. And if the market begins to make lower lows and lower highs, it just lets us know that the market is going down. And if you bring in the down trend line, that is also known as being in the sell zone. Now specifically, trend lines allow us to do three things. Number one, identify buy zone, sell zones. You want to buy in the buy zone and you want to sell in the sell zone. Number two, it helps us determine market speed. How fast or how slow is the market moving? And number three, it helps us identify trading opportunities such as entries as well as reversals. Now we understand that there is a learning curve when it comes to applying trend lines correctly. So what we have done is developed a wonderful technology to help us identify trends automatically, which we'll be discussing in this lesson. In this lesson, we're going to discuss the ABCD wave sequence. Now, whether the market's making higher highs and higher lows or lower lows and lower highs, it's very important that you understand your AB boundaries. The reason why is it can really assist you in understanding what is considered a short-term move and what is considered a long-term move. Let's take a look at this example. So in front of you, we have the market making higher highs and higher lows, and we have ourselves an up A, B, C, D wave sequence. But how do you identify an A and your B boundary properly? Let's walk you through the steps. Now, when a trend begins, it's going to establish a proper low. And a low is defined with having 2 candlesticks to the right and 2 candlesticks to the left, which are higher than the center wick low. That is known as your A or your A boundary. Your B or your B boundary is the very first high that forms with 2 candlesticks to the right and 2 candlesticks to the left, which are lower than the center wick high. That establishes itself after the A. So you have your A and then your B, and now you have your A-B boundary. It's important you understand this because as long as the market doesn't take out the A, it has no choice but to go your way, which really means any sort of downward movement is considered a short-term move and is looked at as a buying opportunity by many investors. Now your C is the deepest retracement of the AB boundary. And it just so happens that we have a low with 2 candlesticks to the right and 2 candlesticks to the left, which are higher than the center wick low. And your D is the very first high that forms above your B. So you have a high with 2 candlesticks to the right and 2 candlesticks to the left, which are lower than the center wick high. First your A, then your B, then your C, and then your D. And as long as the market doesn't take out the A, it has no choice but to go your way. Now, in this scenario, once your ABCD swing is completed, your C becomes your A, and your D becomes your B. And then the process then repeats itself. Now remember, you have an up AB boundary. And as long as the market doesn't take out the A, it has no choice but to go your way. And your way would be a buying approach because any sort of downward movement would be considered a short-term move. Any upward movement would be considered a long-term move. Let's take a look at this example, but in a downtrend. So you can begin to see that the market is making lower lows and lower highs and lower lows. And you have yourself a down A, B, C, D wave sequence. But let's establish the rules. First, you have the A, and the A is the very first high that forms with 2 candlesticks to the left and 2 candlesticks to the right, which are lower than the center wick high. Once your A is established, then the B is the very first low that forms after the A with 2 candlesticks to the right and 2 candlesticks to the left, which are higher than the center wick low. Now you have yourself a down AB boundary. And as long as the market doesn't take out the A, it has no choice but to go your way. And inside of a down AB boundary, realistically, you should be looking to sell the market. Any upward movement would be considered a short-term move. Now, first your A, then your B, then your C. And your C is the deepest retracement of the AB boundary. Now remember, it is the deepest retracement of the AB boundary. So oftentimes the market will form a deeper C than what you initially thought. So just keep that in mind. Now you have a down A, a B, a C, next is the D. And the D is the very first low that forms with 2 candlesticks to the right and 2 candlesticks to the left, which are higher than the center wick low after the B boundary. Let's take a look at some live examples. In front of you is the Great British Pound against the Australian dollar 4-hour time frame, which means each of these candlesticks represents 4 hours of trading. Now, I'm going to show you firsthand how to identify your up A, B, C, D wave sequence, starting from the lowest point of the trend. Now, it's important you understand the lowest point of the trend. As you can see, the market is making higher highs and higher lows. So we want to find the low that started the uptrend. If you look towards your left, you may see deeper lows, but you can begin to see that this is more consolidation or left to right movement. So we're going to utilize the lowest point that initiated the up A, B, C, D wave movement. I'm going to zoom in to where you can begin to see the first low of 1, 2 candlesticks to the left and 1, 2 candlesticks to the right, which are higher than the central wick low. That is known as your A. Now, I'm also going to place a blue horizontal line that's going to mark the A boundary. So as long as the market doesn't take out the A, it has no choice but to go my way. Now, first the A is established with 1, 2 candlesticks to the left and 1, 2 candlesticks to the right, higher than the central wick low. Then we establish the B. And the B is when the market forms 1, 2 candlesticks to the left and 1, 2 candlesticks to the right, which are lower than the central wick high after the B. Notice how we have a proper high with 2 to the left and to the right. That is my B boundary. I'm also going to mark a blue horizontal line to notate the B boundary. Now I have an up A, B boundary. The next step is identifying the C. And the C is the deepest retracement of the AB boundary. I'm going to place a question mark next to my C because I understand that the market may pull back deeper. So I have my A, my B, and so far this is the deepest retracement. So it is my C. Now, the market left the AB boundary and broke above the B. The first high that forms is 1, 2 candlesticks to the left and 1, 2 candlesticks to the right. In this example, 1, 2 to the right and 1, 2 to the left, which are lower than the central wick high. That is known as the D extension. Once your A, B, C, D swing is completed, it's important that you understand how to properly move your AB boundaries. So your C, which is your deepest retracement of the AB boundary, becomes the new A. And the D, which is the first high that forms above the B, with to the left and to the right, lower than the central wick high, that becomes your new B. Now the process then repeats itself. As long as the market doesn't take out the A, it has no choice but to go your way. So you have yourself an up A, B boundary, and we have our C, which is the deepest retracement. I put a question mark there because I understand that the market may have a deeper retracement. But as long as the market doesn't take out the A, it has no choice but to go my way. Once the market breaks above the B boundary, I need to find the D, which will be the first high with 2 candlesticks to the right and 2 candlesticks to the left in this example, and that are lower than the central wick high. So now I have the up A, B, C, D, and the process will continue until the A is taken out. Let's take a look at a downtrend example. In front of you is the Great British Pound traded against the Japanese yen on a 4-hour time frame. What that means is each candlestick represents 4 hours of trading. You can begin to see that the market is making lower lows and lower highs and that the bears are in control. I'm going to show you the down ABCD wave sequence and how to apply the proper AB boundary from where the trend initiated from. To do this, we need to identify the very first high of 2 candlesticks to the left and 2 candlesticks to the right, which are lower than the central wick high of the downtrend. You can begin to see that as I zoom in to the market, we have a proper high with 1, 2 candlesticks to the left and 1, 2 candlesticks to the right, which are lower than the central wick high. I'm going to mark this proper high with an A. This is going to be the beginning of the down A-B boundary. Once the A is found, the next step is identifying the B. The B is the first low of 1, 2 candlesticks to the right and 1, 2 candlesticks to the left, which are higher than the central wick low after the A is established. I'm going to mark the B boundary with a B. After the A-B boundary is established, what I like to do is apply a horizontal line notating the A and notating the B. Now that the A-B boundary is established, it's time to find the C. The C is the deepest retracement of the A-B boundary. Now remember, as long as the market doesn't take out the A, it has no choice but to go your way. And the C can reestablish itself. The C is the deepest retracement of the A-B boundary. Now once the market leaves the B boundary, we now need to search for the D. Notice how the market is now below the B boundary. The D is going to be the first low that forms with 1, 2 candlesticks to the right and 1, 2 candlesticks to the left, which are higher than the central wick low. Let's mark the D. Now we have a down A, B, C, D wave sequence. First the A, then the B, then the C, then the D. Once your down A, B, C, D wave sequence is completed, it's time to establish a new AB boundary. To do this, we're going to move the boundaries. C will become the A. So the deepest retracement of the old AB boundary is now the A. The D, which is the first low to left to the right that formed below the B, becomes the new B. C becomes A, D becomes B, and now the process then repeats itself. As long as the market doesn't take out the A, it has no choice but to go your way. Now the C is the deepest retracement of the AB boundary. Now this process will continue itself over and over and over again until the A is taken out. Now once the market breaks below the B, it will be the first low that forms with 2 candlesticks to the left and 2 candlesticks to the right, higher than the central wick low, which then becomes the D. Now C would become the A and D would become the B, and the process will continue itself until the A is taken out. In the next lesson, we're going to discuss trend lines and how it can help you divide the market into a buy zone, sell zone. Now remember, the trend is your friend until it bends.